what a great milestone. You know, the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964, and the Autism Society of America began. Just a tremendous legacy of helping children, parents. So I just want to thank you for your leadership all of those years. You know, some of you may know I've been in Congress now 35 years, and the importance of contact with people can't be overstated. In 1981, Dr. Holmes from the Eve Institute in Princeton came into my office and got me involved with autism, and I've worked with people from the Autism Society of America ever since. And it was constituents, Bobby and Billy Gallagher, who actually got me to focus on what we thought was a huge rise in autism in Brick Township, New Jersey, which led, after 3 years of being told by NIH and CDC that we were barking up the wrong tree, that we needed to put massive amounts of money into research, surveillance, centers of excellence. So I wrote the bill, it became law, as Title I of the Children's Health Act, and that was passed in the year 2000. And it was with your input, your thoughts, helping us to craft that legislation. So I want to thank you for doing so much for so long, for so many. It has made a difference. You know, I learned, and I mentioned this to Scott Badish, I learned an important lesson about brevity, and I will be brief, I'm almost finished. I used to be the chairman of the Veterans Affairs Committee, and I was invited to the VFW National Convention, and they said, well, you've got an hour, a keynote speech for an hour, which is far too long, as you might expect. No questions, I mean, a full hour. I took an hour and 5 minutes. And at the end of it, because I talked about PTSD, homeless veterans, all the issues that are very, very important. And at the end of it, a little girl, because a lot of families were there at the National Convention, a little girl about 4 years old came up and she said, "Mister, your speech was long and boring." She turned around and walked away. A few minutes later, her father came up and he said, "I saw you talking to my little daughter, Melissa. I just want you to know she's at that awkward age where she just repeats whatever she hears." I've been brief ever since. And I'll just conclude on this final point. The Autism Cares Act, as you know, includes absolutely vital direction for the bureaucracies of the United States government, the federal government, to look at every aspect of what is out there, what are they doing, what are they not doing, where are the gaps when it comes to services, which has been your modus operandi for so very, very long, and to figure out a plan to go forward. I also initiated a GAO report that will probably take upwards of 2 years. GAO is notoriously slow, but also they are very thorough, and they will look at every aspect. And all of this came out of meeting with Scott Badish and the rest of the leadership of Autism Society of America, in my office, out for dinner, working with the Senate, working in a bipartisan way. I mean, you hear about bipartisanship being dead. It's not. When it comes to autism and combating the disability and trying to help those who live with it, including their families, there's no gap between us on either side of the aisle. So I, again, want to thank you. We have 111 members in the caucus on the House side. Mike Doyle is the Democrat co-chair. I'm the Republican co-chair. Again, we do everything in unison, and we talk out strategy, but we always talk to you first. So thank you so very much.
I want to also do a quick introduction. This is our real hero. I mean, Representative Smith is we do a lot of talking to people on the Hill, but when we talk to Representative Smith and Kate back there, who's another one of our heroes, they get it. They're advocates, and you know, I would argue very strongly that almost most of everything that's done with autism is Representative Smith has some blueprint on it. So on behalf of everyone, thanks. I asked if you could do legislation to stop the weather, and they said no, you can't do it. But it's phenomenal, and I would agree with the bipartisan stuff. It's really apparent. So thank you, and you got the greatest staff. And Kate, thank you.
A huge difference, believe me. Directs us.
We have copies. Yesterday, Representative Smith read into the record a celebration of our 50th anniversary. Thank you so much.